You pushed past your pain to be here. Thank you for making it in, and welcome to GoGi's After Dinner Jam. It's so glad to have you here. As usual, I say all these conference calls, everywhere you could be, like a bowl of ice cream or the flavors of ice cream, and you chose to be here, and I'm so glad you chose to be here, and I choose you back. All right, so thank you. Welcome. Settle in. We have a jam-packed show for you tonight. I mean, so jam-packed, I can't spend as much time as I like to spend with my little spiel each week. So I'm going to make that very brief so that we can get off before midnight. Well, what do you know? Hopefully we can get off at a decent hour and answer all the questions, because you know my OCD kicks in and I want to answer every single one of your questions. So, all right, so we're going to get started. Welcome to the jam, everybody. Welcome. So what a week it's been, huh? What a week it has been around the world. Somebody needs to mute, please. It's been some week with this fight of Section 702, the infighting, the people switching up their minds, and let's get rid of him, and oh my God, what a trying time it has been. People doing illegal things to make sure the vote happens, and you know, it's so important to us as TIs, and guess what? It's not over, so I'm not going to deal with that too much tonight, but we really wanted to bring that elephant to its knees, and this is one more leg off the elephant, and they must know it because there's a real stringent fight going on for that, to keep that in place. So it's not over. It ain't over till it's over. So anybody who knows how to pray, please continue to pray. Stay on your knees, okay? The elephant is standing on 3. Let's stay on our knees so that we can get rid of this intrusive, invasive act. All right? So, all right. Well, I really want to talk about your Kairos moment tonight, and I'm not really going to go in detail, but I will say this, that your Kairos moment is when everything in you, everything that you're gifted with, all your gifts, talents, skills, abilities, your frame of reference, your experiences brings you to this one point of opportunity. And when you meet that point of opportunity, if you're ready, you walk into your destiny. It's just a moment in time like no other. And so it calls on us to stay ready, to stay prepared, to stay ready, you know, and ready in every sense of the word, emotionally, spiritually, financially, physically, just to be prepared for that moment that we don't even know when it may come. And I say that to us as TIs corporately as well, that our Kairos moment, we don't know when it'll be. There's so many things happening around this world that impact TIs that we don't know when it will be and what will do it. We just know that God will. I believe that God will make a way. So let's get into the program because, guys, we have it's jam packed, and I really do want to make sure I'm thinking of the end, and so I'm thinking it backwards. All right. So the question today, as we open up, you know, this is your fight song. Take back your life song, and in the song, Rachel talks about, you know, when you lose friends and things like that. So I'm just going to ask, and since we're dealing with psychiatry and mental health tonight, and we're dealing with the legal issues, we have 2 wonderful guests. Yeah. And I'm excited. And so I'm going to ask you, how do you deal with rejection? When someone leaves your life, you know, I'd like you to give the name, your name, city, and state where you're from, and one thing that you do or you can advise others to do when someone leaves your life or when someone rejects you. Okay? All right. So we're going to open up. We're going to open up with that, and then we're going to move into the program because we have one tonight. All right. If you have noise in your background, please mute yourself. All right. I hear 1 or 2 people. Just mute, please. Mute yourself so that we can keep going, so that we can keep this going. All right.
Hi, GoGi.
Hi, how are you?
Arizona Constance.
Hi, Constance. Constance, always a pleasure to hear your voice.
The way that I handle rejection, and I used to handle it really bad because I didn't really know how to handle it. But then when I started learning the Word and walking with God, that there are sometimes there's people that are supposed to leave your life.
Woo.
You look at it like God is taking certain people out of your life because He knows they're not, they don't have your best interest at heart.
I love it. I love it. What a grown-up answer, Constance. I love it. Thank you so much. You just kind of acknowledge and understand that maybe they weren't supposed to be in your life in the first place. So every rejection is not a rejection. Thank you, Constance, for that. Love it. Okay, next caller, please. Your name, city, and state you're from. How do you handle rejection or someone leaving your life?
Hello, GoGi and everyone. This is Jacqueline in Asheville, North Carolina, but from New Jersey. When someone leaves my life, hello. I'm glad to be on the call. Yes, when somebody leaves my life, that left my life, I should say, due to the targeting and not believing what was happening, I just keep the faith in God and know that in God's time, everything that is hidden will be revealed, and it will come to light, and they will see it and realize it, that what I was saying was the truth, and nothing but the truth, and they will realize what is happening to them as well, and they will be back into my life, which has happened. Amen. Yes.
Amen. That's beautiful, Jacqueline. That's beautiful. And yes, the truth shall rise. They will know eventually, that one point of time, they'll know exactly what we've been talking about and saying all along. Thank you for that. Welcome to the J.A.M. All right, next caller, please.
Amen. Good evening, Twinnie.
Good evening, Twinnie. How are you, Sister Samia?
From the Cataract City, Niagara Falls. Good.
All right.
How I handle rejection, that's a spirit. It's referred to as the spirit of rejection. But Twinnie, the Bible says that perfect love casts out all fear, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when we understand God's love, His amazing, everlasting love that He has for us, it just builds our faith and it gives us the confidence to move past that spirit of rejection and to keep on moving forward. So, I just thank God for that. And it's also knowing who God is and, how He is just overwhelming love for us. If God be for us, the way I look at it, if God be for us, who can be against us, right?
Amen.
So
Amen.
we have to, again, it comes down to knowing Jesus, not in a religious way, but in a relationship way, knowing who He is and knowing that He's everything that we have need of. So with that being said, God bless everyone tonight. God bless you, Twinnie. God bless this call in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for that, Sister Samia. Sister Samia's call Wednesday night, Friday night, Sunday night, and as you have heard, she brings about the spiritual perspective. All right. Her information is on TI events, as is this call and others. All right. Next caller, please. City and state you're from, and how do you deal with rejection or someone leaving your life?
Hey, GoGi, it's Olivia from Washington.
Hi, Olivia.
Hi. So I would say the best way, it's kind of like almost what everyone else is saying, but I kind of look at it as a blessing and I turn it into gratitude. And then I try to reflect and journal, like what lesson that person had to teach me or people had to teach me, and that's it.
I love it. I love it. I love especially the journaling and learning a lesson from it. Absolutely. That's so beautiful. So such another grown-up answer. Thank you so much for that, Olivia. Thank you so much. All right. Next caller, please.
I'm Jessica from Minnesota, and
Hi,
Hi, GoGi. I will just go ahead and back everybody else up that it is so hard. It's hard to deal with rejection, but leaning on God has helped me tremendously. Reaching out to other targeted individuals has helped me tremendously because I have been rejected by my family, by my friends, in this fight to try to reveal the truth on this. And I think that is just the determination to keep not letting go and determined to keep up the fight. And yes, I document everything. I research everything. And I pray that this is to be revealed completely and blown out of the water because we need justice. And so for that rejection, don't give up. Just keep persevering and look at the positives. And, I just don't talk to people that have rejected to me about it. Instead, like I said, I'm just keeping score on everything that I'm learning so that eventually I'm praying that when it does come out for me, for anybody, that, that they just have that relief of being free from all the rejection because it is so hard. It is really hard.
Yes, it is. Thank you so much for bringing that point across, Jessica. My God, you brought tears to my eyes. And it is, we're keeping it upbeat and everything, but guys, it is no secret how difficult it is to be rejected as a TI. And because you are a TI, because you did nothing wrong, and you are the same wonderful, beautiful person you were before when everybody was hugging you and including you. And so to be isolated and rejected and pushed away and not believed and so forth is a really painful thing. And so, Jessica, thank you for your practical tips. Journal it, learn from it. And you mentioned one other tip. I cannot remember it right now at the very beginning. But, yes, we have to do practical things to help us shield ourselves, guys, from the rejection because we do not deserve it. And there will be a day of recompense when everything is resolved and dealt with. And it won't be just one day. It'll be a process. And it's going to be a healing process for so many with families, loved ones, friends, and, and that some that you keep and some that you choose not to keep. So thank you so much. I love your response. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Next caller, please. City and state that you're from, and how do you deal with rejection or someone walking out of your life? And I'm going to take one or two more, and then we're going to move on.
Hey, GoGi, it's Tracy from New York.
Hi, Tracy.
I'm still working on the process of all the family mobbing and all that stuff. So it kind of got sideswiped, and so I'm still working on how to figure it out because they're still around. So I do pray, and I do, like very confused about it. So, yeah, it threw me away.
Yeah, Tracy, it is a confusing thing because you think that people know you, and so they would believe you, number one. Mm-hmm. Number two, we don't know, though, what they were told, what they were offered, if they were pressured, why they behave the way they do, why do people do the things they do. So it can be a very confusing time. But, hang in there. You have a family right here. We're all in this together. Us Jamsters, us TIs, we kind of stick together, guys, and let's stay united so that we can move things forward, and we just keep pushing. As, God told me, putting one foot in front of the other until this is over. I mean, and it does get hard. There will be days when you're on your knees. There will be days when all kinds of things sad things are happening, or you get depressing thoughts or whatever, or you get discouraged. But, you know, we have to really just remain hopeful and keep watching. I'm telling you, the news blows me away every time I look at it, because they keep telling our story. And eventually somebody's going to see how horrific it is and stand up. Okay?
Well, I'm waiting for that too, because somebody big stands up for it to move forward.
Amen, amen. Thank you so much for being here, Tracy. Thanks for joining the J.A.M. All right. Next caller, please.
Hi, GoGi. It's Deborah from New Jersey.
Hi, Deborah.
Hi, GoGi. Thank you for your dedication, your beautiful work. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Really, really, GoGi. You really, thank you. So I try not to take it personally. You know, if somebody tried to tell me this story, it would be, you know, it's a hard story to hear, and you know, it's a lot. So I try not to take it personally, realizing that it's a lot. And although I know we'll be vindicated, I know I'll be vindicated. We all will be. And I miss two of my girlfriends in particular very, very much. I really miss those two friendships. But I know I'll have an opportunity someday to sit down with them again and explain all this. And I'll have them back in my life. So right now, I just, you know, try to approach it from more of an intellectual maybe point of view, and just realizing it's a hard story to understand. And but in time, we'll all be vindicated.
Yes. God bless you, Deborah. I hear you. I hear your pain, and I do pray that you will be reunited with those two girlfriends. I mean, if you had something of value, the core of your relationship, that can be revived, especially if you have a forgiving heart and you're able to forgive. And they're going to be profusely saying, I'm sorry. Because when the world knows what we've been through, and when they know what you've been through, and if they didn't believe you, oh, my God, all I can see is their sorrow and their grief. Because just on one side, how it's a hard pill to swallow. But on the other side, once they realize it, oh my goodness, they're gonna feel so bad. So, what a time of reunion that will be. So I look forward to hearing good things about that. I hope I hear the end story of that. That's gonna be beautiful. And there's so many beautiful stories. Yes, God bless you, Deborah. My pleasure.
God bless you too, GoGi.
Thank you. So many beautiful TI stories on this call, so many beautiful moments that are going to come on after the time that we are free, guys. There's so many beautiful stories, movies, documentaries, letters, just poems, everything that will come out of this. And so we just have to do those three things again: protect, preserve, and pray. You know, we just hold on, guys. Just hold on. All right. Okay. If there's one more, I'll take one more quick. If not, we're going to move right into the program.
Hey, I just want to encourage everyone not to forget the spiritual and prophetic nature of what's going on. You know, man's evil is going to progressively get worse, but we have to hold on to our faith and belief in Christ Jesus. All right? He is the author and finisher of our faith. We have to hold on. We can't take the things that are happening blindly. We have to look and see what's happening. Amen. Wars, rumors of wars, they're going to continually increase from this point forward. So don't take this lightly. You know, you're more than just a bag of flesh and bone walking around without a creator that gave you a soul that animated it. And when you leave that body, there's only two places to go. So we have to hold on. And if anyone has never read the rich man and Lazarus story, please go and read it. Because God's justice happens after our death. And so people who treated us badly, they will not inherit the kingdom. They will not. and the good that was robbed from you, that will be changed. I promise you that.
Amen. All right. Thank you so much, Minister Torrey from New Jersey. Thank you, Torrey from New Jersey. All right, guys. Thank you for that. All right, everyone. So we're getting ready to close down. Thank you for participating. And let's close it down. Let's get into the program.
Hold out for the person who.
Hey, GoGi.
Hi.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm just checking to see if Dr. Linda, our special guest, has joined the call yet.
Okay. I guess not.
Dr. Linda, are you here yet?
I don't hear her. We can send. We'll send her a notice. It's okay.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. All right, everybody. Okay, so we're going to get busy. What a night we have planned for you guys. So we're going to start. We're going to start, of course, with what's going on. We have things going on around the world, again, that's telling our story. And we're going to start with a video. Let me get my little list here. Thank you for participating in that. I figured we'd do something about mental health, since we are going to deal with that tonight. So we have this first video, I'm sorry, it's a really audio for everybody that's on by call, but it's from Thomas Massian, and he's a representative that really was urging people to vote for FISA. Okay, we know that the first layer did not go in our favor, okay? So they passed a bill that we're not happy about, that TIs should not be happy about. It's not a TI-friendly bill, but they're working on this amendment that will help. And so we're looking forward to what's getting ready to happen. But let's see. So let's listen to Thomas Massey and what he was telling everybody to do, urging everybody.
For that, I would yield 3 minutes to the gentleman from Kentucky.
The gentleman yields. I recognize the gentleman from Kentucky. I thank my colleague from Texas. Today we're voting on a resolution that will bring forward reauthorization of a program that's been abused for decades, the FISA 702 surveillance program. Before we vote on that program, though, this resolution that we're voting on now prescribes that we will bring forward an amendment to require warrants if you want to spy on Americans, if you want to use this database as a backdoor to look at the privacy, the private information of Americans, you would need a warrant if this amendment passes. Now, there's some people who will say, oh, getting a warrant is too hard. It'll slow us down. You'll put America in danger. Listen, I've been in the SCIF, the classified area, where they're supposed to tell us the problems with requiring a warrant, and they never have told us a single example of where getting a warrant would be a problem to national security. In fact, we've got a provision in the warrant amendment that says in exigent circumstances, you can skip that step. You'll hear today that, oh, everything's fine. We don't need the warrant amendment. We've got 53 reforms in this package. Here's the problem with those reforms. We rely on the same people that abuse the system to enforce those reforms. And they still don't go to the constitutional level that is required in this country. Who doesn't trust those 53 reforms? Congress doesn't trust those 53 reforms. The authors of this bill, you know how I know? Because they put an exemption, 2 exemptions for themselves in this bill. That's right. If the FBI is going to use 702 FISA to spy on congressmen, they have to tell Congress. They even have to get permission from the congressman they're spying on if they say it's for the congressman's own good. Why do we have a provision in there that exempts congressmen but not all of America? Americans deserve the protections that are enshrined in the Constitution. Nothing less should pass this House. This is an enormous database. They're going to tell you, oh, we're just looking at intelligence that was gathered on foreigners. The problem is they're collecting this intelligence in the United States. using service providers in the United States, using internet connections in the United States. They collect a lot of stuff here. Do you think the NSA employee who did a FISA search on a Tinder date was looking for information about Hamas? No. There's all kinds of information in there, and that's why it's being abused. That's why we need the warrant provision. I urge folks to vote for this rule so that you can vote for the warrant provision amendment, and if that amendment doesn't pass, you shouldn't vote to reauthorize FISA. With that, I yield.
Love it. Love him. I mean, it was he really, I don't know why I'm hearing an echo. But he went out there on a limb and urged everyone and explained why this amendment is so important. Thank you, Thomas Massey. We need more like you. Had we had more like you, well, the amendment was tied, from my understanding, at one time, and they're supposed to do it over, and I'm looking forward to that do-over. I keep looking to find out when, because there's some things that we can do, and I thought it was happening right away, so I didn't suggest that we do them, but we can change our profile picture. We can send some Twitter. We can spam people on Twitter or Facebook and all the social media platforms. We've done a lot, and so I thank everyone, all the boots on the ground. I thank you for all the work that you've done in pushing this issue. I believe that we have made a mark, meaning that I believe they know that the American people want to be protected. I heard them say that. I believe that it's a matter of, once again, corruption. It's a matter of, corruption, really, because and sometimes fear, because they push back with is, the terrorists are out there. They're going to do this and they're going to do that if we can't do this and if we can't do that. National security. They're ringing that alarm. So, if they really look at, Richard Lighthouse made this wonderful diagram with the statistics, and if you look at the statistics, daggone it, we are on the message. We are the TSDB, period. So, why do you need national security for us? Really? Okay. All right, so here we go. That was the first video. Let me keep moving. All right, let me see. The next one is, let me see, I'm sorry, 5G. So, they did the whole rollout on 5G, and listen to this, what they say, in that they know how dangerous it is. Okay, 5G.
The insurance industry will not underwrite companies building out the 5G infrastructure. 5G is deemed as an emerging risk, as the biological effects of EMF in general and 5G in particular are still being debated. Potential claims for health impairments may come with a long latency. That's from Sonar's 2019 Swiss Re Zurich Switzerland Reinsurance Company report. Final thing I'll mention before I go, 10K disclosure. Crown Castle International out of Houston, Texas is a publicly shared company. They have a 10K disclosure they have to give to shareholders. In that 10K disclosure, it reads, if frequency emissions from wireless handsets or equipment on our communications infrastructure are demonstrated to cause negative health effects, potential future claims could adversely affect our operations, costs, or revenues. We currently do not maintain any significant insurance with respect to these matters. They have to let their shareholders know. I thank you for your time, and I encourage you, please, to take into consideration that right now in the United States, there are 418,000 cell towers. Over the next 6 years, that will go up another 800,000, a 300% increase. This is only just beginning. Thank you so much.
Mr. Weaver, if you could leave the documents with the city clerk.
Okay. Yes, he was speaking at a meeting, and they were very interested in what he said. And so, out of all of the places, he talked about Crown Castle in Houston, Texas. All right. So, and he talked about the fact that they have an obligation to tell all their stakeholders that they have no insurance for this, and this is such a dangerous health risk. 5G. So we'll put that link up. That is really key, really important. That means that we're on to something when we talk about these cell towers and we talk about 5G. Well, we know that we're suffering from what they're doing in using 5G to do what they're doing with us and what's going on with the cell towers. So, all right, that's the second one, and here's another one I wanted to check out. I wanted to share with you guys, and this one is on Havana syndrome. Okay, so let's take a listen.
Havana syndrome. After a 60 Minutes report pinned the alleged attacks on Russia, the report claims Russians are using a futuristic technology that shoots waves of energy through a person's ears and into their brains, causing catastrophic brain injury. The attacks, they say, have been targeting federal agents and members of their family, both overseas and here on American soil.
Inside my right ear, it was like a dentist drilling on steroids. That feeling when it gets too close to your eardrum, it's like that, times 10. It was like a high-pitched metallic drilling noise, and it knocked me forward. It felt like I was stuck in this state of disorientation, not able to function, what is happening, and my whole body was pulsing.
Felt like it came through the window into my left ear. I immediately felt fullness in my head and just a piercing headache. I left the room and went into our bedroom next door and projectile vomited in our bathroom.
The common denominator between most of these agents targeted, according to CBS, they all have a history of working on cases against Russia.
One of those cases involved this Mustang going 110 miles an hour. A search of the car found notes of bank accounts.
Citibank. You discover savings $75,000.
And this device that looks like a walkie-talkie can erase the car's computer data, including its GPS record. There was also a Russian passport.
What's your first name? Vitaly. V-I-T-A-L-I-I. 60 Minutes claims that man, who led cops in Florida on a high-speed chase in 2020, used to be a Russian military engineer with a top-secret security clearance and is believed to have been a Kremlin spy who helped facilitate attacks with acoustic weaponry here in the United States. The only problem? The State Department says Havana syndrome and those attacks aren't real. The State Department and 5 other U.S. government agencies say that it's very unlikely that what people are experiencing are the result of a sneaky foreign attack. Government researchers linked Havana syndrome to mass psychosis and social contagion, meaning the more people claim to have something, the more people will convince themselves they also have it. But why would the federal government, who's always looking for an excuse to fund Ukraine's war against Russia, downplay this supposed threat? Because it helps their case. Something about this story doesn't add up, but it's impossible to pinpoint.
Yeah, the thing about it is this. I can't see the U.S. knowing that Russia is here doing stuff to federal agents and just talking about it. I think it would be a really big deal, as we know that it's this is friendly fire. And there was an article where they said that they cannot blame this on any foreign adversary. And then now, as it's getting closer, we're hearing stuff like this. So we know that the diplomats themselves have been getting awarded money, but I want to share this lawsuit, or actually I'm going to ask Ms. T to share this lawsuit about Havana. But first, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to hear about this lawsuit about Havana syndrome, and the guy won. All right? So let's do that.
Are you feeling like something strange is happening in your life? You tell others, but nobody believes you? Well, get ready to uncover the truth with GoGi Justice's groundbreaking book, GoGi's 10 Signs Which Indicate You're a Targeted Individual. GoGi Justice, an everyday person just like you, has written a book that exposes the covert illegal activities happening right under our noses. With a writing style that's raw, honest, and relatable, GoGi takes you on a journey through the dark world of targeted individuals. You'll ask yourself if you are experiencing these signs. Learn about infiltration, gang stalking, privacy violations, and even hacked home appliances. GoGi's book is a beacon of hope, providing encouragement, tips, and resources for those who find themselves trapped in this nightmare. It's time to fight back and regain control of your life. So if you're tired of feeling isolated, unheard, and targeted, grab a copy of GoGi's 10 Signs which indicate you're a targeted individual. Available now on Amazon.com and the Targeted Justice Etsy shop. Don't let them silence you any longer. Take the first step towards understanding, empowerment, and freedom. Get your copy today and join the movement. GoGi Justice's book, A Voice for the Targeted Individuals. Welcome to TIEvents.org, your official insider for the targeted individual community. As the go-to source for all TI events, we're here to keep you in the loop with the latest and greatest happenings. Discover daily conference calls, meetups, and exclusive events across the USA, all at your fingertips. Plus, planning a TI event? Advertise with us for free and connect directly with the TI community. TIEvents.org is not just a website. It's your gateway to a world of information, connection, and empowerment for TIs everywhere. TIEvents.org, your official insider. Dive in and discover today.
All right. Ms. C, can you read the article about the gentleman who sued the state for discrimination against him when he had the Havana syndrome? Now he's a governmental contractor. And, well, go ahead. All right, good. Thank you.
Okay. The State Department will pay $460K to end Havana syndrome lawsuit. Engineers suffering from Havana receive 61% of demand. State Department will send employee overseas on overseas assignment. The State Department agreed to pay $460K to Mark Lindsay, an engineer who said the government discriminated against him over his Havana syndrome diagnosis and his public advocacy for victims of the condition. As part of the agreement, Lindsay withdrew all claims against the State Department, which denied liability. Havana syndrome is a designation for a collection of unexplained physical and psychological symptoms. Lindsay described in his complaint. The government is investigating the cause but publicly commits to supporting victims. As part of the statement, the State Department is sending Lindsay on a 3-year assignment as a security engineer.
Thank you so much. So nicely read. Thank you, Ms. T. So, all right. So basically, they settled with him. He put the lawsuit forth, and they settled with him. He got a 3-year assignment and money, $460,000 for what he suffered. So, I know even the diplomats are getting, I believe it's $200 and something thousand, but that's chump change for us. They have contracts with the government. They've signed things. Things can happen because they're at work, or this is what we did not ask for this. We have no agreement. We want no parts of it, and here we're being assaulted, and it's causing this diagnosis or this illness, this condition. So we're asking for much more than that. Okay? But if those people that, work, retired, or whatever, have connections with the government, have had employment things with the government, you can certainly pursue that avenue. It's an option. All right. I also I'm looking at this other article about Havana syndrome, and some of the comments Mark Zaid made are noteworthy because, he is the one who represents the diplomat, and very often he ignores the targeted individual. So let's just take a look at this article. It says, Johnson said Shaheen was his ranking member when he was on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, and Rubio is co-chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee. Johnson again expressed his frustration over getting answers about Havana syndrome regarding his own health, the health of his constituents, and other Americans who may have fallen victim to Havana syndrome. Which other Americans, I wonder? Getting information out of the federal government is like pulling teeth. They simply do not provide it, Johnson said. Johnson said that Havana syndrome is only one example of a government cover-up, citing other examples such as lab leak being one of the most likely ways the coronavirus spread. All right. Let me skip down. I want to go to, and this is from the Wisconsin Law Journal. I want to go to something Mark Johnson. Okay. Beyond the intelligence community, a lower dose of the microwave technology is currently being deployed throughout the United States by local law enforcement for crowd control and crowd disbursement, Zaid said. Caught in the act, what seems like it might belong in a James Bond film are actors who carry these small, highly concealable and portable directed energy weapons to zap victims at hotels, in private residences, in office buildings, and even in automobiles, Zaid said. From our understanding, it's a handheld device that is easily hidden. I'm not aware of the I'm not sure what this word is, ever having caught anyone in the act of captured. I'm sorry, these words are, Zaid said. Holding the powerful, accountable. Okay, let me just get here. All right, so they're dealing with it. Now, I'm not familiar with these small handheld and how much power can that be. I am familiar with the cell site simulator, which are devices that mimic a cell tower and will have a signal sent to the FBI so that they can control what they do with our bodies. So I don't know the science behind that, so I have to look further into it. But I will say that this is what Zaid mentioned. He said that a few members of Congress on Capitol Hill who have stepped up to the plate to advocate for targeted U.S. citizens who are victims of Havana syndrome. And that's he said, among those elected officials who have taken an interest in pursuing justice is Senator Johnson. Zaid said, who noted he, along with Republican Senator Marco Rubio and Democrat U.S. Senator Jeanne Shaheen, have been meeting with constituents. Ooh, wouldn't you like one of those meetings? All right, so there is a movement. I got to get this article a little better so that I can share it. I'll share this again because I have bits and pieces, and it's the words are not totally correct. So I have to get that because that is really important because he's saying that they're dealing with U.S. citizens being hit by directed energy weapons. Now, of course, there's a little disinformation or there's something going on there with these little weapons that people are carrying around. Nothing compared to what's happening with us from the cell towers. Okay? Those little, I doubt if they can control the burns. But they're meeting and talking about it. Go ahead, Jeanne Shaheen. Jeanne Shaheen has not given up. Marco Rubio, Ron Johnson, Thomas Massey, thank you. We need to send thank you letters sometimes, guys, to our elected officials who stand up because it's not easy. All right. We're going to get back into the news. We have 3 more, and then we're going to jump to our first guest. That's Attorney Anna Toledo. I know you can't wait, me either. And so let's get into this real quick. Now, I love this. I mean, I don't understand people. Like, you get these important, high-profile jobs, and they just blow them off okay. So let's take a look at Gavin. I don't know where Gavin is right now, but, I mean, he went on a so-called date and he was with a journalist. The journalist, he did not know he was being taped, but he was. And boy, did he spill the beans. Okay, let's take a look.
When in jail, if you know what to do. How? Does Bureau practice entrapment a lot? Yeah. We get really close. We call it a nudge. A nudge. A nudge. Some judges have given a quick look to see what happens. Sometimes you light the fuse and just wait for it to pop. And that's when we're putting on a fake social media thing to like really get people mad. Yeah, so we were after him. You are? We did what we wanted. Which was what? Took his money away.
Gavin O'Blennis is a contracting officer at the CIA. O'Blennis worked for the FBI in 2021 and 2022 in the San Diego office, moved on to Homeland Security where he conducted asylum interviews at the southern border, and now works for the CIA managing multi-million-dollar contracts across government agencies and private sector vendors.
I work for I'm not supposed to tell people kind of job. I say intelligence, what do you think? CIA? Yep. You work for the CIA? I do. That's incredible. Contracting officer. That's amazing. So I deal a lot with like different agencies. We're contracting with like Director of National Intelligence to do stuff. We do Navy, Army, any of them really. I just FBI. I used to work for the FBI, so they threw the FBI at me. They're like, here, you used to work there. Oh, I'm permanent. Good. Yeah. Good. Well, why do they call it contracting? Because I do the contract. I do all the legal contracts. I fly out to vendors and evaluate them. I love the agency. Good for you. I like the Bureau, too. The Bureau was a lot of fun. I got to do a lot of cool stuff with the Bureau. I was the guy in the back of the truck in the van.
O'Blennis spoke to an undercover Sound Investigations reporter about his work experience involving near entrapment and his employer's involvement with political commentator Alex Jones's legal battles.
As long as the Bureau is able to progress far enough to be able to put pro-lifers in jail whenever they want. Yeah. You think that's on the agenda? You can kind of put anyone in jail if you know what to do. How? You create the situation to where they have no choice but to act on their impulse. And once they act on that impulse, then we call that entrapment. It's a fine line. Does Bureau practice entrapment a lot? Yeah. We get really close. Not officially, no. We get as close as we can. We get as close as we can to it without doing it. So they can entrap some of these pro-lifers into doing things that they don't do. Yeah. We call it a nudge. A nudge. A nudge. Some judges have given a quick look to see what happens, right? And how does that happen? You put a post out there, or you have someone fake profile, say something that triggers, that we know is going to trigger them, right? Like, we already know your history. If we're to that point, we already know everything about it. So we're like, oh, this will piss them off. Sometimes you light the fuse and just wait for it to pop. Right? Like a railing, like a, so when a railing happens, that sometimes the Bureau behind it? Yeah, sometimes. And that's when we're putting on a fake social media thing to like really get people mad. Post fake news. Sometimes it's fake. It's embellished a little bit. What would be like a big influencer that you're after? You, like a, I don't know, like a, I don't even know these names, like a Fox News person or like a Tucker Carlson or like, oh, I'm sure he's right. You always want to think it's loudest. Like that, what was his name? The one that said Sandy Hook didn't happen. Alex Jones. Yeah, so we were after him. You are? Are you still after him? Why? Because he's broke. He got found dead and had to pay like $100 million. So why are we after him? We're not anymore. Just to get the money from him? Yeah. Was that court case used? Was that CIA? Sure it was. That was the agency thing? Well, actually it was a defamation case. So it was a civil government. So we were looking at all of his followers, commenting, oh, like, who recommended this to me, right? So even though it's technically not our, well, not the agency definitely, but the Bureau, for instance, yeah, it's not our purview. It's a civil matter. Since they got all this access to his stuff, and it's there, what can we go find? And did you find it? I did. Oh, we did. But, so, you know, it's just kind of like, you know, realize the opportunity that you have.
So with Alex Jones, you were watching him long before anything ended up happening.
It wasn't my office, but I mean, we would have been well aware of what he was doing.
And the goal with him was what? Just to bankrupt him?
Pretty much. And we let the families do it.
What?
We let the families do it.
Were they encouraged to do that by the Bureau? Like nudged?
We don't encourage people, but like we just say there's no federal statute being broken, but you do have the option for a civil case. It's a pretty good case. Nice. In our opinion.
So, that makes so much sense. I have a cousin who's a lawyer. So that's a lot of these cases. They're kind of encouraged by the FBI.
Yeah, like there's nothing federal law we can do. But civil, we can go at them that way.
And they did. So the FBI was happy.
We didn't care. We were like,
basically, the citizens did your job.
Yeah.
Wow, so you can encourage a civil lawsuit.
Not encourage. Educate.
What can you do with people like Alex Jones now? Because he's still out there. He's still chirping.
He can chirp.
They still watching him?
Yeah.
Why?
We did what we wanted.
Which was what?
Took his money away. We shut him up for a while. You're never going to shut him up for
unless you put him in prison.
But again, he didn't do anything to go to prison. Being ignorant is not a crime, though. It is.
I mean, what, you could bring a nudge.
He didn't try to riot like Cheeto. He didn't encourage people to go shoot people. He didn't do anything.
Additionally, O'Brien states that he knows and works with FBI agents who were undercover in the January 6th Capitol riot, estimating about 20 field agents were there undercover. While O'Blennis notes that they were not involved in violence, this appears to be the first admission of undercover FBI agents in attendance.
I thought you said that there were FBI agents in the crowd at J6.
There always are when there's a big protest in D.C. Just in case it gets out of hand like that. But there wasn't enough to turn that high. I mean, I'm talking you need to have 20. You needed 1,000 to get rid of that crowd.
So they had like, that was just 20?
Yeah, just go through and see what they can hear, that kind of thing.
Wow. Definitely. They needed 1,000 at least.
Wow. And that's also the police jurisdiction. They're in charge.
So
why they didn't have more on hand, I don't know.
The Bureau didn't really want people knowing that they were in the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
That would be overstepping their bounds.
A little bit.
Do people know that?
Why?
Do people know that the Bureau was in the crowd?
Nope, we probably never will.
Do you know agents that were there?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yes. The agency knew.
What are we doing?
Whatever we need to. We're under State Department cover.
So Ukraine doesn't even know that CIA is there?
Oh, they know.
Oh, do they?
I mean, it's a well-known secret, right?
Right.
Because they're the central intelligence. We give them intelligence and advice all the time. I mean, advisors. Right. This is what the U.S. would do. Okay. I did what they call the credible fear interviews for people who seek asylum. I did that for like 3,000 people. Most of the people get there knowing they're not going to qualify, but they try. Because, if you do it enough times, you get a sympathetic ear, and they're like, approved.
Recall Gavin O'Blennis, the CIA officer who currently manages multi-million-dollar contracts across government agencies and private sector vendors. Before the CIA, O'Blennis worked for the FBI and then briefly for Homeland Security.
What's my signing authority for him to me? Yeah, I do have a copy of the paper.
Now I can tell my friend.
See, there you go.
It says, congratulations. It has the seal on it. See, I will tell her with my own eyes I saw it. And it's hiring official Scott Hobson.
I like the Bureau, too. The Bureau was a lot of fun. I got to do a lot of cool stuff with the Bureau. I was the guy in the back of the truck in the van.
Speaking to a Sound Investigations undercover reporter, O'Blennis seems to have confirmed an anonymously sourced New York Times article about the CIA's involvement in the Ukraine conflict.
Are agents everywhere in the world, every embassy? Even Ukraine?
Yep.
But that's not, I didn't know that.
Why wouldn't it be?
Oh, right. What are we doing?
Whatever we need to.
Right.
We're under State Department cover.
Good.
So if I go overseas, my name will change. I'll have a full background. And I'll go by that name while I'm overseas.
Wow. So Ukraine doesn't even know that CIA is there?
Oh, they know.
Oh, do they?
I mean, it's a well-known secret, right?
Right.
Because we're the Central Intelligence Agency. We're not allowed to operate inside the U.S. So what do?
Go outside the U.S. So you guys must know a whole lot more about the Ukraine conflict than the news is actually saying.
Hey, Tranquility, can you go ahead and unmute Gaji? She's unable to speak.
Roger, you're all back.
Excuse me, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, guys. So I'm sorry for that interruption. Of course, I was dropped for a second, but I'm back. And there was so much noise in the background when he was talking, but sometimes when they're recording, they want there to be noise. But we can tell that the guy was dropping jewels, too many, to the point where he talked about that they were doing entrapment, and they didn't call it entrapment. It's a fine line. He said we call it, at the Bureau, we call it a nudge. Okay, but entrapment is illegal. All right, and they talked about setting up Alex Jones so they could get money from him so that he's broke, $100 million to the tune of. And they talked about, let me see, he dropped all kinds of, really, he also said he was the guy that stays in back of the van doing things. So there was a lot of covert activity that he brought to the surface, and it's very difficult to hear, but we'll have the clips available for you so you can listen at your own leisure. I was going to play another one with Alex Jones, but for the sake of time, I'm going to skip that one right now. And but Alex Jones did respond, and we definitely want to hear what he responded. What would you respond if you know that you hear that the Bureau admitted that someone from the Bureau admitted to entrapment? Actually, this guy works for the CIA. So, all right, so just giving you a little bit of that, letting you know that, there are whistleblowers, intentional whistleblowers, and there are whistleblowers that, have that blow the whistle without knowing it. So that means to me that there are things going on covertly that will come to the surface. Let's let that be an encouragement to us TIs. When we don't see things happening overtly in our favor, there are things behind the scenes that are happening in our favor that will come to the surface, okay? And with that, we're going to go right into our next guest so that we can hear about the legal update from the targeted justice lawsuit, which has been prevailing. And we have none other than our David, who threw that smooth stone and hit the giant that doesn't even know, right between the eyes. He doesn't know that he's still falling down. His hands are flailing. He's moving backwards, and it's going to be the biggest thump ever. All right, so Attorney Anna Toledo, I turn it over to you. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you for your commitment, your drive, your tenacity. Thank you for being that spitfire attorney that represents us all, the 18 and all TIs. Thank you so much. Thank you for your second lawsuit, but we want to hear about the update now. Thank you so much for being here. Attorney Anna Toledo, is her mic unmuted?
Here, I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Well, thank you, Gogi, for that introduction. And about that last video, I love it because it was the journalist, the hidden undercover journalist that gave him, the criminal, a nudge. And then he just he just gave him a nudge. What a criminal he is.
He was getting the nudge. Well, he's talking about the nudge.
He was getting his own nudge. He was getting a taste of his own medicine. I love it. Justice will come, and I mean, to a greater degree, they have made Alex Jones, whether you agree with him or not, but they have made him suffer a lot. And they, like you said, we took his money away, but it's Alex Jones' turn, and it's gonna be glorious. So, having said that, well, I just wanted to say the legal update was, as many of you know, I filed on March 8th, a panel of 3 judges issued an unpublished opinion where they are, on the one hand, they said, no, we cannot look at this
Hello, can we hear? Tranquility, can you hear Attorney Anna? I can't hear her. Is it just me?
For a whole week, I couldn't. Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Yeah.
I think you went out for a minute, but go ahead.
Okay, well, for almost a week, exactly 6 days, I couldn't really understand, I just couldn't see through what was going on. And I had the benefit of, I had two of Armando's devices on each side. I lived in the middle of 2 of them. And my brain little by little sort of recovered, and I was able to see through it. So I have to say I probably worked over 200 hours in this petition. That is only 3,900 words because that's the word limit that they have. And basically, I argued, number one, that, it is a final judgment. Number 2, that it was incorrect for the panel to collaterally confirm the judgment that it said in the beginning it wasn't ready to confirm. And number 3, that it was also a mistake that they didn't look over our request for limited discovery on the TSDB status of the plaintiffs. So that has been submitted. I think it is in the Targeted Justice website. You understand what's going on. You can see not only how much work goes into it, but how right we are, and I am basically arguing that the decision of the panel is contrary to the Supreme Court and Fifth Circuit's precedent, and therefore the en banc petition, what it means is the full court should look into this case. I think it's 15 judges, because the 3 judges of the panel made a mistake by not following court precedent, and basically that's what we argued. Now there's many possibilities. The court can say no, the court can say yes, the court can say I want to hear from the other side, but that's in the lesser occasions. the court could say, I want to hear from you in an oral argument. There's a plethora of possibilities, so, I'm not going to speculate as to what could happen. But what I do want to emphasize is that the case, for example, FBI versus FICRE, has been dismissed twice, went to the circuit twice, and it's a case that it's 10 years old. So, cases take a very long time, particularly when you have a government trying to put all the obstacles to obscure the truth and the light. And so that's where we are. I am very hopeful that the court will take our petition. And if the court doesn't take our petition, we will go to the Supreme Court, and then we will continue. We're never going to stop until we're all free. And I say all free because even though it's 18 plaintiffs, those of you that follow this call know that the petition we have asked for, the main petition in the case is that handling codes 3 and 4 be declared illegal because they lack statutory authority, and that everybody in handling codes 3 and 4 be eliminated, be erased. Not just the plaintiffs, but everyone. That those two categories be thrown to the garbage, and all the lists recalled. So that's the update I had to give. And then, Goji, I don't know if you wanted me to. One of the things is I did being away from a lot of cell towers helps a lot. So that's just one of the things that helps too. Do you want me to? How do you want to proceed? Or do you want me to talk about the other thing or no?
All right. So, I just want to give you a lead-in. So that is the legal update. And when we open up for Q&A, then if you have any questions for Attorney Anna Toledo, you can ask at that time. We're going to move now into the mental health portion. And first, we're going to have one of the tips that Anna and I have spoken about. She's going to share one of her tips, and then we're going to hear from the expert in the field, Dr. Linda Pimenta. So, Anna Toledo, you were going to share with us something called 54321, please.
Yeah, well, okay, so before I knew I was targeted, I went to lots of these new age, like I went to see the Chopra Institute, and that was my vacations. I didn't like to go, fly anywhere. I just went to these kind of places. And when I went once I was at Chopra, and I learned one thing, and you can disagree, but this is, this man has studied this for a long time, and the consciousness and all of this spiritual realm. And one of the things he was talking about in this particular seminar I went to, it was like a 5-day conference learning how to meditate. It was that you cannot have two thoughts at the same time. Maybe for a millisecond you have one thought and then the other, but you cannot have two thoughts simultaneously. And then so the emotional part is produced in the limbic system in the back part of our brain. I'm not a doctor, so if I say something wrong medically, but it's in a different part than the prefrontal cortex, which is where all the mathematics and scientific like things that require concentration are produced. So since you can't have two thoughts at the same time, that's when I learned from Mel Robbins, that is she's like a self-help kind of leader, and she talks about this 54321. I apply it. She applies it for when you get the desire to do something. Just go do it. Don't sit on it, because then you'll get discouraged. But the way I apply it is that when for example, when I would get an anxiety attack, which comes from my limbic system, well, I would engage my prefrontal cortex by starting to count from, let's say, 100 backwards, but I would do it either in English or if you know a second language. The point is to make yourself think, to make yourself an effort to think of something like 100, 99, 98, 97, 96, and that way you really have to concentrate and you shut down the emotional part. And that works for me. That works for me when I am facing, stress or an anxiety, or panic or something like that. So for whatever it's worth, it's just that combination. You cannot have two thoughts at the same time. And the moment you engage your prefrontal cortex with your 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you turn off. You can turn off the emotional part, and I hope it helps you as much as it helps me.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much for that, and thank you for the update. Thank you for continuing your commitment to the TIs and to seeing this lawsuit all the way to the Supreme Court if need be. If it goes to the en banc, which will be in Louisiana, we're there with you because we will be rallying outside the door, across the street, in the park. Looking forward to it.
Amen.
Right.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. All right, and now our next guest speaker is Dr. Linda Pimenta. She has a specific expertise in a specialty area. I'm going to let her share that with us, and we're just so grateful to have her here with us. She was at the recent medical symposium with that Targeted Justice had this past weekend, or last Friday. If you didn't get a chance to tune in, please do check it out. And it's available. The recording is available, so please do look. Somebody needs to mute, please. Somebody that I have open is we have noise in the background. Can you mute yourself? Thank you so much. All right, and so we're so grateful to have her here. And we're going to give all our attention to Dr. Linda Pimenta. I'm going to ask you, Dr. Linda, first I want to make sure that I can hear you.
Okay, testing.
Yes, great. Good to have you. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Okay, good. And I wanted to ask you first about your career interests because it's such a specialty area. You describe it. I know it's nurse practitioner and psychiatry. And I just want to know how you came about that field.
So I came about that field. I've been a family nurse practitioner since 2005. And when I was doing my doctorate in 2013, I did research on smoking cessation, and I really had an aha moment that addiction was not a choice. All my life, all my career, I really thought that it was a choice. And that's when I realized that it was a disease. And I knew then, I said, I've got to go back to school and for psychiatry. And I just was waiting for the right program to come out. So fortunately, it came out in 2017, and I took the Bridge program. So I'm board certified both in family practice and psychiatry.
Beautiful. That is beautiful. What a great dual certification. That's beautiful. 2 certifications in those areas. And we need both. We definitely need help with our families, and we need help with in the psychiatric field. One of the things with targeted individuals, but before I get into that, I want to talk a little bit more about you. Can you tell us one quirky thing about you, just so we can this is a very intimate, small group, not small, but, a really cool group. I love my Jamsters. And can you just tell us something about you? Because sometimes we talk about things we like to eat, things we like to drink, and just little things about ourselves. So one thing about you that is a little quirky?
Because we're all quirky, right? And I just I accept that I have mine. So it's actually along with what we just talked about. Although I have a doctorate degree, I didn't even get my first degree until I was 35 years old. Wow. I raised my family and sent my kids all to school, and then I went back to school and got an associate's degree as a registered nurse. And it was from there that I kept saying, no, there's more, there's more. I've always been very inquisitive. So, I just got to 5 degrees, 1 degree at a time.
Wow, that's beautiful, beautiful. They would say they would call you a late bloomer, but absolutely valuable, and your expertise is fantastic. Linda, Dr. Linda, how did you know that you were a targeted individual?
So that was that realization was very difficult for me. I had things going on. I was living in Kentucky, and I was a senior executive in the federal government. I was running one of the VA hospitals along with the director and chief of staff. And I had people who were looking up what was going on, and that's when they came up with gang stalking. And I'm going to say I denied it for a year. I worked for the government. I love our government. I love our country. And I'm like, they wouldn't do that to us. And it wasn't until there was no way to question it. I mean, driving back and forth from Kentucky to New England, the number of cars that were with me the whole time, and they would circle out. Everywhere I went, they were there, and a lot of the stuff that they were doing, the tools, the equipment that they had, that they were able to use on me, there's no other way. I finally accepted that I was a TI.
Okay, I see. Yeah, those cars will do it. In the words of Betty Doo, one of our favorite guests, when I leave home, it's like a hurricane evacuation. And she lives in an area in Texas, and she said she leave her house, and so did everybody else. It's like, they're running to get off the island or something, and all those cars following you. It's amazing how many people they involve in this treacherous program. So, yeah. I do have another question or two, and one is a lot of the TIs from when I speak to them are saying that they're being diagnosed as having psychosis or having had a psychotic break. And when I went to school, that was so rare. So to have all these people, with that are psychotic or with psychosis is astonishing to me, but things do change, and I'm thinking with the TIs, they're telling their truth, and because the truth is not believed, they're being classified or diagnosed as being psychotic. So can you explain what is psychosis and what is a psychotic break?
Okay, so I went right to the source, the American Psychology Association, and what they say psychosis is. I'm going to just read this first, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about it. So it's an abnormal mental state involving significant problems with reality testing. It's characterized by serious impairments or disruptions in the most fundamental higher brain functions: perception, cognition, and cognitive processing, and emotions or affect, as manifested in behavioral phenomena such as delusions, hallucinations, and significantly disorganized speech. And it says the psychotic disorder. Now, I'm going to just point out that this is still number 2 under their under their definition. Historically, any severe mental disorder that significantly interferes with functioning and ability to perform activities essential to daily living. Okay? So that's what they're saying psychosis is. What I explain to people, or I have when it was somebody that just absolutely wouldn't accept it, is, you are experiencing things that are happening to you, whether it's visions or sounds or smells or tactile. Some people can feel things, and they're real to you, but nobody else who's right there with you is experiencing that and is not witness to that. And so what that does is it validates the person, saying, you're experiencing this. However, it's not, other people aren't. And that's kind of how it is. So you would be with your targeted individual, you might be sitting in the room, and you're the one whose ears are buzzing, and you're getting that pressure, that rhythmic pressure in your eardrum. Nobody else in the room is getting that but you.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So there's just kind of an example of what we're saying.
I see.
Now, with these hallucinations or delusions, so I'm just going to explain briefly what a hallucination and a delusion is. So a hallucination could be something that you see that isn't real, something you hear that isn't real, something that you touch or touches you that isn't real, like bugs on your skin, and maybe something that you smell. Some people have smells that aren't real. And but you're seeing this clearly, you're experiencing this. And a delusion would be to actually believe something to be true when it's not. So, and you can have different types of delusions. And they like to call targeted individuals to have delusions of paranoia, right? They say you're paranoid. You're delusional. The government's not doing that to you. Nobody else is seeing this happen.
Yes. Yeah, that's what they say. That and especially, we're hearing voices and, we're hearing them, but that it's us ourselves hearing them, that it's not being imposed upon us, or, and the whole gamut of things. People have been hospitalized, institutionalized, forced to take medication, labeled incorrectly. I mean, the targeted individual has run the gamut of the world in the field of psychiatry and psychology. So we're so happy to have you here today with us to kind of help clarify some things and talk about some of the things that you can do to help TIs. What can you tell us about some of the things that you can do personally with your as a professional in the field to help TIs?
Before I answer that, I just want to go right back very briefly with psychosis, because there's one key here that targeted individuals do not demonstrate, and that is significantly disorganized speech. What I mean by that is somebody who's psychotic or delusional, they can't put a sentence together. They might answer a question, they might answer a completely different question, or you may have asked, what color was the beach ball? And they can say, boy, they had sunscreen on, and we had peanut butter and jelly sandwiches at the beach. That might be their answer. So it's right. Or they might have their speech doesn't make sense. And targeted individuals, yes, sometimes when we get upset, we maybe don't form our sentences, or we don't express ourselves as eloquently as we normally would. But once we calm down, we're able to do that. That's not typical of somebody who's psychosis or having a psychotic break.
Exactly.
Okay?
That's how, I mean, yeah, because they can't really, they're very scattered verbally. And
right.
so, yeah, and TIs, as you can hear from the call, are able to speak and answer questions and talk intelligently. And sometimes, like you said, they may have difficulty, but not, for the most part, no. So I get it. That's very interesting. All right. Is there anything else you want to say? And then I'm going to, because I will open up, if anyone has questions for me, Attorney Anna Toledo, or from Dr. Linda Pimenta, please, you can get in queue now, so that we can start taking questions. But is there anything that you wanted to say, else that you would like to say before opening up? And once again, I thank you because I know you are a TI, you're working in the field, and that in itself is a difficulty. And as a TI, you're being targeted like all of us, and so I'm just grateful to you for being here.
Well, thank you. So I think what you would ask the question about what I could do, and I think that all of us have our own expertise, and all of us should share the expertise. I'm a trustworthy professional who can explain things. However, I do have to give the harsh truth, right? Because we don't want to sugarcoat the truth. It's important for targeted individuals to know exactly what it is. So I can share important information more like a consultant, coach and mentor somebody as far as in that symposium that I spoke on Friday. One of the things that I said is do not consent to an emergency room psychiatric evaluation. And and I explained the reason why. If they have you go in for that and they do admit you involuntarily, if you are admitted involuntary for 72 hours or more, the legal definition is that you're mentally defective. And what that can do is that'll flag you. So if you're a hunter or you own firearms for sport or for whatever reason, you are not allowed to have firearms. And and there are just other things that they'll have you flagged as a mental defective. So that's one important thing to make sure that you're aware of. So I can't really treat. I get a lot of phone calls because I'm on other radio shows and stuff, and I get a lot of phone calls asking if I could be their psychiatrist, and I can't. My practice is in New England. I'm only licensed in Massachusetts and New Hampshire. However, I can do consultation, and I did hear from somebody who had sent me their things, and I do need to catch up with them again. They're on this call. So I will be reaching out to you to follow up on your consult. And what I mean by a consultation is in order for you to have that medical diagnosis of psychosis or schizophrenia or paranoia, PTSD, any of those diagnoses have to meet the DSM-5 criteria. And it needs to be documented in the record how the individual meets criteria for that diagnosis. And so the thing that I would do is to go through all the medical records to find out what did the professional see that made them pick this diagnosis, and it allows the individual to challenge it. I can make recommendations on things like I strongly recommend that when law enforcement comes to your house, unless you're in protective custody, don't let them in and don't visit them. I think that was pretty much the goal. What I really want to make sure I talked about.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And we do have a few questions already, so let's start with them. and that will help shape the course of the conversation, if that's okay.
Yep.
All right, great. All right, so we're going to take the first question in queue. First caller, please.
Yes, my name is Teresa. I'm fairly new to this community, and I just found out something that may help, but I'm not sure if you guys have already discussed it. But I'm being hit with those direct energy weapons, and I was wondering if a thermal camera could help show or help my case with a lawyer.
Okay, so that question is for Attorney Anna Toledo. You want to know if when you have your day in court, will a thermal camera help your case?
Yeah, the picture from it.
I'm sorry, to show that your body was damaged.
Yeah,
is that
I'm
your question?
Still being attacked. Yeah, from the EWs.
Yeah. Okay. Attorney Anna, are you there? Okay.
I'm here.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Okay. And it's interesting because, like I have said on many occasions, targeted individuals have a unique opportunity to document their damages as they are happening for when they, and that's why the importance of journaling for their day in court. I did have the opportunity of having those infrared camera taken, a picture of me when I was sleeping, and it does show where they're hitting you. So because it shows the areas that become hotter. It's very interesting. Again, when you present evidence in a court of law, you need to be presented, with an expert. Scientific evidence needs to be presented with an expert, and it gets complicated because you have to make sure, that the proof that the camera was, working properly, et cetera, et cetera. But I would as a reference, I would definitely use it because I know that when those pictures were taken on me and other people where I'm staying, it reflects exactly where they're hitting you. It shows where they're hitting because it gets hotter. So, my answer is a no and a yes. I say it won't hurt because when you do have, when you do stand in front of your of a jury of your peers, well, maybe you will have that expert that can attest and say, well, what this picture shows is this, but obviously somebody has to take a picture of you while you are lying down, or it's not you taking a selfie, rather somebody taking it and you documenting who took it and when, and maybe that person could testify, yeah, it was me who took that picture and it was on this date, It's sort of like a chain of custody. It's sort of like documenting when, how was that camera, when did you do it, etc. And obviously saving it away from your computer where the criminals cannot erase it.
Okay. Thank you so much, Teresa. Thank you for your question. And please know that if you're in queue and you're anonymous, we can't take any anonymous questions from anyone anonymous. All right, next caller, please. Next caller, please. We hear you. Hello. Hello.
Hi, everybody. This is Lauren.
Hi,
this is a question.
Hi. I don't know that I have a question so much as just a comment, because this is really frustrating because we just keep hearing that you can't prove it, but it is provable because they're putting out signals, and signals can be captured, and signals are being captured. And Amy Holum does this, and she's helping us. Unfortunately, there's only one of her to go around. So, it makes it
Excuse
difficult.
me, who is saying, nobody here is not saying that nothing can be proven.
Okay.
So I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, first of all, ma'am, can you tell us your name?
Lorraine. But I thought that lady, Lorraine?
Lorraine, uh-huh.
Yeah.
What are you responding to?
You know, they keep saying that, I've heard it a lot, that you can't prove it. You can't prove it.
Well, that's not true.
I know it's not true because I capture them in my house. I just turn on a regular tape recorder and I'm capturing them talking about what they're doing. And then they can do these tests on you now that will show all the scars that they're leaving behind. So if we're all delusional, we're all mental, how are we all having all these same scars all over our bodies? I'm sorry, I'm just really frustrated with the whole process.
You're preaching to the choir, Lorraine. You're absolutely right. We're talking about, yes, take cameras, take what evidence you have, document it, get someone to come into court and say that they took that picture of you or whatever, which is what the attorney said, and that, and the court will consider it to whatever value they do. But thank you so much. Did you have a question or you just wanted to make a comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to just put that out there. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you for coming to the J.A.M.
Can I just add something to that answer, though?
Sure.
So you could prove it's happening to you. I think what she might be thinking of, because I have heard people say, you can't prove who's doing it.
Mm-hmm.
That's
okay, yeah. Yeah, that's the hard, where it's coming from. I have to say that it is, first of all, it's a very clever thing to do, to use this tactic against so many American people, where it's covert, it's invisible, it's remotely done. So in order for us to trace the weapons, trace the frequency, there's so many steps to the process, and it's pretty complicated. However, if we just continue to document what we have, we were advised by Targeted Justice to get a tiny spectrum analyzer and triangulate the frequencies and so forth. And there's things that we can do. Yes, you can take thermal pictures and you can hold all your evidence and use it in court. But just and hold it and have it available. Everything should help, but we're looking forward to the day in court. So just keep your evidence and keep gathering information and things. And of course, it's easy for them to say it's fantastical. It's easy for them to say they don't believe this or whatever, but we know what's happening, and we're standing and believing and working together to make our day in court successful.
Yeah, make a lot of copies and keep them in different places just to be on the safe side. Absolutely, because you know how that goes. Okay? Thank you for that. Thank you. Next caller, please.
This is Lauren again. I don't know how I got booted, but anyway, this is a question for Dr. Linda. I want to say Dr. Linda because I don't want to mess up your last name. So thank you for coming on the call. I did listen to you on the call, on the symposium call, and I think you're very smart and excellent doctor, nurse. But my question is, my statement is, I got Baker Acted twice, and I have reason to believe it would have been a third time, but I walked out of the hospital before they could lock me down. So, and let me just say, too, what I believe is the system, once they ever determine that you have a documentation of being depressed or you've seen a therapist or whatever, I think it makes it easier for them to be able to Baker Act you. I also think if you've ever had any type of drug problem, which I never have, also makes you a victim very easily to the system. But the thing that happened to me, excuse me, when I was Baker Acted, they did it without merit. And I was threatened on a number of occasions that, if I didn't, go ahead and let them take me over to the hospital, that they were going to shoot me up with drugs and make me go and throw me in the back of the emergency truck and take me to the hospital. And that did happen on 2 different occasions. And so, of course, I did oblige because I didn't want them to shoot me up with whatever. But my thing is, if they don't have really any merit, and they did consider me as a temporary delusional, I never heard of such thing, but they did call it temporary. How is it that you can clear your name once they put you into a mental ward? Because, again, I do understand once it's documented that it makes it very easily for them to Baker Act you at any time. And I know that I'm being watched, and I know that any time that they could get me by myself, that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to attempt to Baker Act me, and that's not anything delusional. That is fact. I know that I am being watched by the Department of Social Services and also the Sheriff's Department, because there's been several locations that I have been in that both of those have appeared at one given time. So I could see if I would just see the sheriff and not the, social worker, or see the social worker and not the sheriff in the location that I'm at. But when you see both of them in one place, and I'm in that same location, to me that's a common denominator for them to try to, Baker Act me again. But again, my question is just how do you clear your name from out of the system? Because they can take us at any given time for those who've been in the hospital or mental ward and just put us away. So how do we clear our name so that they can't continue to do that to us?
Well, so that's a really good question. And I ended up, as you're talking, thinking, I really need to read that chart to see how they could threaten you and give you drugs against your will unless you are put under protective custody. And in order for them to do that, there has to be, you have to be harm to yourself or others. Was
Correct.
there any behaviors that you had you done anything that would make them say that or said anything?
Well, when the very first moment, I got hit in my head with the weaponry. I didn't know what was going on. And I mean, it hit me so hard in my head that my brain, I believe, dropped in my skull. And immediately after that, my nose started bleeding. And so I was with my ex-boyfriend at the time, and so I asked him, did he feel what I had just felt? And he looked at me and said, no, but your nose is bleeding. So from that point on, that's when I began to start getting hit with directed energy, the weaponry, and I didn't know what was happening. So, of course, I'm going around screaming because it felt like somebody put an iron on top of my head and just let it sit there. So, of course, I'm in pain. I can't say anything. I just know that I'm in pain, so therefore I'm screaming out loud and crying. So that was kind of the start of things for me. But other than that, no. I was not a harm to myself, have not been a harm to anyone else. But the EMS was called to the house, and they took me out of there, and they threatened me and told me, like I said, on 2 different occasions, if you don't get in this ambulance, we're going to shoot you up with drugs and make you go. And then when I went into the hospital on a different occasion, I happened to be in physical rehab because I had been shot multiple times. And I'm not going to go into the whole scenario, but there again, I was in the restroom when the EMS knocked on my door and told me that I needed to come out of there. And, of course, not going to be too personal, but how could I come out if I'm in the bathroom? So anyway, they told me I had a certain time to come out of the bathroom, and when I actually did come out, they told me again, if you do not comply and get on the gurney, let them take me to the hospital, that they were going to shoot me up with these drugs. So, and then let me just say, too, when they actually got me into the hospital the first time, the doctor knew that I was not taking the medicine that they were trying to make me take. And see, I knew my rights. I knew I had a right to refuse any type of a psychotropic medicine. So the doctor came in my room every day, and he started threatening me, and he said, if you don't take this medicine, I'm going to have them tie you down, and I'm going to shoot you up with this medicine. So I have been threatened on 3 different occasions that if I do not comply with taking the whatever or just go with them to be checked out, that they're gonna shoot me up. I mean, how do I get out of this? Because it's going to be, I feel, very easily for them to do that at this point in time now. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So you need to have an attorney because they can't do that. Running around your apartment screaming because you're having pain in your head is not a reason for them to pay for you and bring you in for a psychiatric admission or a psychiatric evaluation. Okay? And, I mean, you could have, for all they know, you could have been experiencing an aneurysm or anything else. And so for them to act that way is concerning. Another thing, if you heard my talk the other day, a lot of times these are orchestrated ahead of time, that they'll go, so you know it's already pre-planned. That's why the sheriff and social worker are there, because it's pre-planned that they want to do it. They want to have you admit it so they can discredit you and they can continue to do what they're doing, and no one's going to listen to you, because I'm just going to use the term mentally defective just because that is the term, the legal term that they're saying. But your civil rights have been violated. You have the right to say no. They cannot. What state do you live in?
I'm in North Carolina.
So I don't know North Carolina law, but I would seek out a civil rights attorney in North Carolina and find out, but they can't threaten you that they're going to pump you up with drugs. Even in the psychiatric hospitals, the only way that they could do that is to get a court order, and that court order is for you to take this medication. And different states have different rules, but I don't think you can be court ordered to, this is your second admission. Your initial admission, you can say no. But when you were discharged, you may have had a conditional discharge, which means you're going to follow up by taking your medication and keep your doctor's appointments. Did you have anything like that, a piece of paper that said that?
Well, they said initially when I first went into the hospital, when I came out, that they wanted me to talk to a therapist. But, I mean, I didn't, and so that was that. The second time, they did not tell me that I need to follow up with anybody, nor did I take any medicine. But I will tell you this. They did give me something in the hospital when they locked me down the first time. I was threatened that if I didn't take this shot, that they were not going to let me out of there. So I don't know what they gave me. I just know that after that, I know I became very, very targeted.
Okay, I wanna jump in here. First, I want to say we're going to move along to the next person, but I will say this, Dr. Linda, that I've heard that so many times that they threaten the person, the TI, that if they don't take this shot, that they're going to keep them there. And I don't know, like Lauren is saying, they don't know what shot it is, but they end up taking the shot just so that they can leave, and sometimes it's pills. So that is really something that we need to try to address across the line. But I'm going to move to the next person. I think the advice is good that, Lauren, if you can get an attorney to look over it, which is really difficult right now, I would just say journal it and save it for your time in court, because you will get your day in court. They did not follow the law. They did not follow the law.
There's no there's no such thing as getting an attorney if you're in TI. That just doesn't happen.
Exactly.
So I just wanted to hear from her really quickly, guys, if she could just advise maybe if there's a letter or something that can be written to these facilities to clear my name, because
well, for you particularly, I know she would need a consult or whatever, but you can ask her. I'm thinking some kind of something we can do corporately. I'm going to think about it, that we can write to have TIs carry, because so that they won't tell them that you have to take some medication that you do not have to take. But for you specifically, I'm thinking, I don't know, Dr. Lynn, you could answer what you would need from Lauren.
So I think, Lauren, get a lawyer, get your copy of your record. You need to know what that medication was. It was an antipsychotic, most likely, and I'm thinking it was probably olanzapine, which is Zyprexa. Did it make you sleepy?
What happened was, whatever it was they gave me, it put me out. But what I do remember is that someone came into my room that night after I took that medicine. Well, that was a pill form, not the shot, but there was a pill form that they gave me that they say was for something else. But it knocked me out so much. But I do remember someone coming in and trying to manipulate my left side. So I don't know if I was being chipped at that particular time, but I do remember that I was being forced, and I believe I was fighting back. You know how you're awake but you're not? That's the kind of feeling that I had. But I do know. I remember a lady saying, "Oh, come on, Lauren, come on. Now, come on, Lauren." I just remember hearing that all the time. But and that's not psychosis. That's just fact. I think that she was trying to manipulate my body and make me do something that, whatever it was, I'm just saying, and I'll leave it at that. But I know that they can give you something that will knock you out so much you don't even know what's going on. And a lot of times when you go have medical procedures done, of course, you don't know that they're chipping you up, because nobody's standing there saying, "Oh, when you woke up, we chipped you up real good." So, but yeah, you just don't know when you're under the knife, or they give you some type of psychotropic that is so strong it will knock you out, where you don't really know what's going on. So, but I really would like to talk to you further and see how I can get my name cleared up, because again, I'm a target as it is, but it makes me even more so because now that I have been Baker acted and my name is listed as a crazy person. I would like to talk to you further about this, if that's possible.
Okay. It takes hours to go through the medical record, but we don't want to hold up the call for everybody else, but GoGi can let you know how to get in touch with me.
Okay, I appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Thank you both. Next caller, please. Thank you, Lauren, for your questions. Thank you, Dr. Pimenta.
Ask a question for Anna.
I'm sorry?
Can I ask two questions, one for Anna and one for Laura?
Sure. Who is this?
This is Jessica from Minnesota. I've been targeted.
Hi, Jessica. Go ahead.
I'm neural monitored. I've got the voice to skull, and I'm getting the directed energy, and I'm hypnotized as well. I ended up attempting suicide a month and a half ago. I was discredited this last year. It's been a hell of a year. I did get diagnosed with the on-specific schizophrenia. I was at first diagnosed with psychosis and temporary psychosis and hallucinations and stuff. But my nurse practitioner said that isn't even possible with menopause or with a temporary drug setback, which was a 3-month thing after 19 years of being clean, which is another reason they targeted me. They targeted me because I came into money, but whatever. That was my first question for Laura, and my second one is because of my fight, and I'm not giving up now, and I am in therapy. My nurse practitioner believes me. She's running tests. I'm going to be getting an EEG next week. I'm wanting to know if, the vagus ultrasound or Doppler, because I got a megaphone, as suggested, off of Targeted Justice. It goes off in my cheeks, in the back of my head, on where the brain stem is. It goes off in my trapezium muscles. It goes off in my stomach, my lower back, all places where I'm getting hit. And then it goes off in my lower calves and my arms, my upper arms, and my hands fall asleep, my legs fall asleep. So I'm just kind of wondering what kind of tests I can do. And then the other question for Anna is how do I'm trying to document all this, get the information, I'm trying to doctor, but where do I get a lawyer?
Okay, Jessica, you said a mouthful. So let's go back. Let's do, what's the first question for whom?
The first question would be, well, if I'm, I guess, diagnosed with the unspecific schizophrenia, I kind of did some research on that doesn't line up with regular schizophrenia.
Okay, wait, Jessica. Just the question now.
Okay, so I'm wondering, is that something that I can dispute, or is that something that I can, dispute, I guess.
Okay, so you want to know, you told us the diagnosis. You want to know how can you dispute it. Okay, yeah. Dr. Linda?
So go online and research the DSM-5 criteria for schizophrenia unspecified. You need to also get your medical records and find out what they're writing, because you have to meet certain criteria for that diagnosis. That is not a diagnosis that is very common. A lot of people are going to psychoses unspecified, maybe schizoaffective. So to answer your question, the answer is for free online as far as, challenging that diagnosis. You need to either have a medical person or an attorney who can help you.
Okay. And then also with the vagus nerve Doppler, either one vagus nerve or the Doppler ultrasound help detect the moving, I believe, nano implants or superconductors in the body.
Okay, now is this question, who is this question for?
Still for Laura, or if that's okay.
Not Laura, Dr. Linda.
Dr. Linda, I'm so sorry.
Okay, that was Lauren.
Okay, so your question is the vagus nerve ultrasound. You were cutting out a bit. What are you trying to, you're asking if it will detect something?
Superconductors or nano implants, yeah.
Okay. That is not my expertise. I'm really sorry. I don't know the answer, and I'm not going to fake an answer to a question. So I'm sorry. I'm not the one to answer that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then this one's for Anna. I did get the megaphone. It goes off in all the areas that I said, and I'm sorry. I apologize. I do have a mouthful of questions, but this is the last one tonight. But if it's going off like that, how do I validate the proof? I mean, besides getting tests that I'm doing, what do I do?
Okay.
Well,
go ahead. Okay.
Mm-hmm. What I was going to mention in that, like the reason we and it actually was GoGi that did the discovery of the megaphone, and I remember that's a scene for the movie GoGi.
Yeah.
So everybody just stared like, oh my God. But okay, so here's the thing: the reason why we wanted to put out there the megaphone thing is because many people don't realize they have a W band like you have. You have one that seems to be very similar to mine. And the first thing I'm going to tell you is no radiologist is going to dare, at least I don't know, maybe one person or two, but the radiologists do not have the guts to say what they see on the film, on the study. I tell you from my experience, there's all these horrible things, and none of them dared say what they saw. So in due time, I say when we are able to go back to the district court and start the discovery, when we are able to shut down categories 3 and 4, that is when I think that good doctors, that radiologists will dare step up and tell the truth. because right now, like I said, I know only maybe 2 people that the radiologists have been truthful in their reports about what they see in the patients. I don't know if that answers what you asked, and how to find an attorney.
Oh, sorry.
Huh?
Go ahead.
But say the same thing about the attorney. I say, I have said it and I'll say it over. First of all, I urge you to read the tab on V2K and to read in Targeted Justice all the resources that we have, because there are many ways. For example, for those of you that haven't read about the aftershocks headphones, many people swear by them, particularly if you put in them the David Case sound music, white noise. It really helps drown them. Some other people talk that Armando's device significantly reduces the V2K. There are mechanisms for you to deal with that. In terms of attorney, I am planning on, once we can shut down handling codes 3 and 4, it is my position that I want to train attorneys everywhere in the nation and explain to them how this worked. And that was precisely the reason I did forms, which I discontinued them for now, but I will reopen them once we get back to the district court. And it is when we can verify that you were on the TSDB, that is what gives you the standing to continue your lawsuit. And so I urge you, in church, I was told that, you have to be patient. You're a recent TI. I've been a TI for over 20 years, even though I didn't know it, and I still have to learn patience. It's easier said than done, but we have been chosen for this fight, and I just really urge you to read about V2K and use those. If you can go to Best Buy and try the aftershocks, I think they have them there. You can try them for free and see if they help to minimize the V2K.
Thank you.
I hope I answered. I hope.
I'm sorry. Are you still there?
Yes. We hear you. Thank you so much. Thank you for your question. Thank you, Attorney Ann.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Before we go to the next person, please hold a minute. I do have a question that I received. Dr. Linda, is there a difference? And if so, what is it between PTSD and complex PTSD?
Well, complex PTSD is, we talked about this, is trauma that happens over and over and over again and not one specific incident.
Okay. I get it. Thank you. Okay. So it's okay, over and over. And one other, let me spell this word. Do you know anything about PSILISIBIN? Is it silent research?
Yeah, magic mushrooms. I just want to go back. So I'm going to look a little bit more into the complex PTSD, and I'll get back to you with a little more information on that, okay? So, yes, magic mushrooms, there is. I know I actually recertified my board certification in psychiatry this fall, and I think I had 3 courses on psychedelics, and they're in the research right now, and they're showing some promising effects with anxiety, depression. The problem that we have, it is still Scheduled 1 as far as with the federal government. I can't see it ever being legal by the federal government, maybe on the local level when more research is done. I know people who do it, I work with addiction, and I have a, be honest and, you're all set policy. And I know people who do it, and, with in small amounts, you're okay. It wears off quickly, but.
Okay.
Have you read something more about that?
No, that was the research. Answer to the research questions. I know that they say the university in Austin is taking 200 calls for people for their research. But no, I don't, that's all I know about it. And it's, this research is legal in Texas.
Yeah, and I know a psychologist who, in another state, a New England state, and he works a lot with psychedelics. He does ketamine. He works with ketamine and also the mushrooms. And, so the mushrooms obviously are off-label because it's not FDA approved. But it has, he swears by the results with his patients.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I know there's a Crenshaw bill, but thank you for taking that. I don't want to hold somebody else's waiting. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Pimenta. All right. Next caller, please. Your question. Next caller, we can hear you. Just say hello.
Yes, pretty.
Hi.
Question, well, I first want to say thank you to that doctor with such powerful information. Thank you so much for coming on as well and for that information. But, of course, my question is for our dear attorney, Anna Toledo. I want to first say Dios te bendiga. And my question is, as you know, I have shared with the community and also with you, Anna, that I had recently been diagnosed with Havana syndrome. And in the beginning of my targeting, I made the bad mistake, of course, of going to the hospital. And I had told them, what was going on. And, of course, the doctor, after they did a blood work, labeled me as delusional. And now that I have so much proof that's beyond proof, should I go back and hold this hospital, this doctor, responsible? Because as far as I'm concerned, that was a false diagnosis right there. And so I guess that's my question. And I just want to say to you, thank you for continuing to persevere and have so much patience and continuing to work so hard for everyone. Just want to tell you that you're very much appreciated. And my prayers are continually for you and for the team at Targeted Justice. And at the end of the day, God is in control, and I believe with all my heart we will prevail without a doubt. God bless you.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Sister Samia. And I want to say regarding the Havana syndrome, it's very, you see, after 6 months, I think Dr. Baer told me, it doesn't take 6 months. It can take one attack, one neurostrike for you to get non-kinetic brain injury. And the thing is, National Academies of Science Engineering have concluded that the most likely cause of Havana syndrome is microwave pulsations. So it's the kind of injury that can only be caused by directed energy weapons. And that's why, it is so valuable that you got your diagnosis, because nothing else can cause it but microwave pulses to the head, to the brain. Thank you for your prayers, Samia. They're very much appreciated. And to all of those that do, I know you do go into prayer I want to ask that you please put all those judges in that court to be under your prayer, the prayer warriors, because, people, I know you appreciate it, and the people in this call appreciate the work I do, but imagine if you get attacked and you get neurostriked, imagine what they do to me, who is the only attorney that showed up to fight them, okay? So, many people are very easily mind-controlled to attack me or attack targeted justice because we are the only ones giving the good fight against these criminals. So I honor you and I appreciate it, and I ask that you please all pray that the judges in charge of ruling over our petition are not affected, because we all know what remote neural monitoring is. We all know what, subliminal messaging is. So pray for them as well so that they can carry out that job that they have been confirmed for, to do. Thank you, Samia.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you. Okay. All right. Thank you, Sister Samia. Thank you for your question. Thank you for being on the J.A.M. Next caller, please. Oh, and let me just state, if you're in the line for the second time, we have to keep moving because we're trying to get off the phone. I just want to get everyone at least one. So go ahead to the next caller. No duplicates, please.
Hi, my name is Gina. I'm in North Florida. I want to ask, hi, thank you, ladies, for doing what you do. I just wonder, if we make it through this, if we're able to hire an attorney, could our diagnosis be overturned in a court of law? Because I've got the same as the other lady had, where I've been Baker Acted a couple of times, and I'm actually on disability because I'm crazy.
Wow, and she's in, by the way, Gina is in Florida, which the Baker Act is real. So, yeah.
Well, I just have to say that, like Dr. Pimenta said, you would have to hire an expert. You get in a medical expert. He will evaluate you. He will go to a court of law, and he will testify on your behalf and say, I have examined this patient, and I conclude it is my medical opinion, my professional opinion. I'm just saying, what doctor could say, but it has to be an expert admitted by the court, okay, has to have the credentials. It has to be a person that the court will, under the standards of the court, accept as an expert, okay? There's many of those. They cost a lot of money, but I am confident that once we can shut down handling code 3 and 4 and the program starts to be shut down, because it's not going to be like a light switch from one day to the next. We all know that. But when it starts to get shut down, I think that attorneys are going to come out from under the earth to ambulance chase TIs to represent them. That's what my hope, and that's what I think will happen.
Thank you, Gina, for your question. Okay, Dr. Pimenta, was that you?
Yes, it was. I'm sorry.
Okay. No problem.
So you also, if you're a patient with a diagnosis or whatever, you have the right to read your chart. So you can get a copy of your chart and you can challenge things. If you have a medical expert review your medical records and make the determination. So like when I do it, I read the medical records, I talk to the individual, I compare what was written with what the DSM-5 criteria is for that diagnosis, and then you put it in a you put it like a report. And if the report comes to find out, that this diagnosis isn't supported by the documentation, you can go to the hospital and have that doctor. You can request that that doctor remove that information from your chart.
Okay.
Okay.
So
here's the next thing. I can't even get a primary position. I'm blacklisted. I can't get into a doctor, period. So if I can't get a medical expert, I'm kind of in a catch-22.
Well, Dr. Pimenta is a medical expert, and so let me say to you, Gina, and anyone else on the call, that I'm going to ask that you contact me if you would like to schedule a consultation with her. We will get to you the information in terms of, the cost, the time, what she would need, and so forth. And I will talk to you about it. I'm hesitating only because I know that they've been jacking with my email right now, so I'm trying to figure out which one to give you so that you can contact me. I would like you to contact me, anyone who would like a consultation with Dr. Pimenta, and I'll give you an email by the time this call is over so that you can contact me, and we'll send you back the information if you would like her to review your records, what it would cost, what she would need, how much time it would take, and the procedure. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Now,
and,
could I give her some really quick advice? I listened to her on Friday, and I just like to say, if you buy individually wrapped flushable wipes, that will help a lot of your problems. No joke. I've done it. It's not real economical, but it really helps.
Say that again.
I'm
individually wrapped flushable wipes. No joke. It has helped me tremendously.
That must be a personal. That's got to be a personal suggestion right there. So I'm going to stay out of that.
I was on the video from Friday with the doctors. That's where it's coming from.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining the J.A.M.
Thank you,
for her tips.
Thank you.
Thank you, and your question. All right. Okay. We're going to keep moving. We only have a few more questions and a few more minutes, so let's do this. And I'm looking for an email to give you. Okay, so anyone that's interested in a consult. Okay, go ahead. Next question. Next caller, please. Hello, next caller, please. Any more questions?
Hi there, Barbara from San Diego.
Hi, Barbara. How are you?
Hanging in there like the rest of us are doing. I have a question to ask, but I'd also like to add, I saw my primary physician, and I gave her the short version. This was a couple years ago, what was happening to me, and she looked me right in the eye and told me she believed me. And then when I got the insurance receipt, she wrote down hallucinations. So what I did is I wrote a letter, and I just kept it factual, and I had to explain to her what Havana syndrome was. She did not know. And so in my letter to her, I put that she didn't have the qualifications to make a fair evaluation when I had to explain to her what it even was. So I wrote out, I reiterated everything that happened, what I told her, what her response was to me, that she told me she believed me several times, and, my disappointment. I hand-delivered it to her office, and I had someone sign a receipt and a date of them delivering it to her, so I have a record of it. So it doesn't show up in my online records from her that she scanned it in any way, shape, or form, but I do have a copy of what I delivered and that her employee signed for it, that she received it. So that's what I did. And I also had the same situation when I called the police when this was first happening to me, before I knew what any of this was. And they sent out PERT people, which is psychiatric emergency evaluation. And I had a conversation with them, and the psychiatrist or psychologist, whichever she was, there was three of them that came out, two cops and the doctor. And I asked her if any of them were familiar with Havana syndrome, and she told me she was looking it up on the drive over to my house. Didn't even know what it was. And these were people that were making an evaluation of whether or not I should be hospitalized. I wasn't, but anyway, I just wanted to add that's what I did. But my question is, what is it doing I know about the pulsing because I'm getting hit with every kind of thing you can think of. And I got gasped asleep through everything Linda was saying in the call that I wanted to listen to, but I woke up, toward the end of the call. But my question is, what is the pulsing doing? I get pulsing on my body, my arms, aside from being attacked on my head. What is it doing to us?
I'm going to
good question.
It is a good question. It's different for everybody. I know for my pulsing, they try to, when they're targeting that particular area, they're trying to get the rhythm going so that they can make if they're trying to make it burn or itch, they're trying to get the rhythm going so it can work. But I really wish I knew more about what they're doing or why. I mean, this is just so ridiculous.
I thought maybe part of it, maybe they're trying to sometimes change your heart rate also, but I was just wondering what else.
They do.
Yeah. Okay, I was just wondering if there's any more additional input because I get it every single night. So that was my question.
In your head? The pulsing is in your head?
My head, my body, my arms, my legs. I get these electronic darts aimed at my eyes. I get tapping in my nose, gassing. That I've got a big sore in my nose now from the gassing. And I live in San Diego, so it is a huge military city and also biotech industry. And some of the places that make those weapons that are being used on us are manufactured right here in my city.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I
suppose I'm getting the latest and the greatest.
Yeah, I mean, I think any of us would just be making an assumption, but
that might be a good question for next week when Richard Lighthouse comes. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your question and stuff. Thank you for joining the J.A.M.
I appreciate the call, the support, and these calls, and everything that you guys are doing is so appreciated.
God bless you. Thank you so much. Okay, next caller, please.
Hello.
Hi,
Hello?
how are you? Hi.
All right, this is Regina from Michigan. Hello, guys.
Hi, Regina. How are you?
All right, I've been trying to get in your calls, but they won't let me. Maybe they don't want me to say nothing. I don't know.
I'm so sorry. Well, you're here today, so say everything you were trying to say.
I have a question, Gina. Maybe it's for you or Anna. Okay, they have been attacking my eyes really bad, and I haven't been going to the doctor, but I was going to do an online doctor. What do you think about that?
Well, if your insurance allows telehealth visits, then absolutely, there's no problem, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with if you could do a telehealth visit. I think that's wonderful.
Yes. Well, that's what I was thinking about doing. I have another question, and that's it. I know I emailed you and told you that I was getting my police report. I filed a police report, but I got it back. And they stated that they have damage inside and outside. Inside is exterior and interior. They did inside my house, and they said it was like spots on my walls and everything. But when he came, he said, "This is what he said." And when I said to him, I said, he said, "What's the problem?" I said, "Well, they have been doing illegal break-ins. Ain't nobody coming in your house." I said, "You said what?" He said, "Ain't nobody coming in your house." Luckily, my son was there.
Wow.
So, my son got in his butt, too. So I said, "Well, come on with me since you said ain't no legal break-ins." He said, "I've been here 20 years." I said, "Well, come on, follow me." So I showed him the square. I showed him the square paint that they did on my walls, the spots, the spit spots. He didn't want to see too much when I showed him the door. I'm at work, so you're going to hear some other voices. So I showed him the door, and he stated that the door was nothing wrong. I got tape on the door. I said, oh, you think the tape of God would make the door look like this? So he said, my son said, no, that can't be. So we talked, and we was telling him all this stuff that was going on. He told us to shut up. So he said, if you shut up, I can't explain what I think here. And my son told him, let me tell you, this is our house. You're not going to come in here and tell us to shut up. Now, what you can do is ask us to be, that you ask us to be quiet or something so you could talk or something, but you're not going to tell us to shut up. So, and then my son was getting on him about the spot, and he was telling him about the break-in. Well, he didn't really listen too much about my stuff being stolen because he told me he wasn't going to give me a report. Now, that's what he told me and my son. He said, I'm not going to do no report. I said, you're not going to do no report? I said, but I've got another police report that says strange circumstances, so you're not going to do one, right? He went, let me go out here. So he did, give me the card, put the case number on there. So when I went to pick it up, he just said it was spots, damage in and out, and he said strange person circumstances. And he said I have an old door and to get a camera. So what do you think I should do about it? That's the second time I got strange circumstances. He put one, he said strange person circumstances. My other one I did way back said strange circumstances. So both of them are strange circumstances. Could they be?
But at least you have a report. So I think that you just document what you, I'm sorry, phone came out. Document what was really happening and document what he wrote, what he saw and what he said. Save your report.
So that's what I'm
Save
going
it.
to do. Yeah,
and his name and his name and batch number and date and who was with him and just write everything just to refresh your memory when you need to. And when you go to sleep, cover your eyes. There's a gel. There's like a mask that you can buy on Amazon and all of that. It's a gel mask to protect your eyes because when we're sleeping, that's when they attack us the most.
Oh, yes,
and Vaseline.
They attack you really bad. The
Vaseline.
Do y'all have any suggestion about the dog? Because they attacking her like crazy down at her vagina area and ears. Do you have any suggestions?
Today I wrote to somebody on Twitter. Is your dog big?
No, she's not bleeding. Well, yes, she did. Her
eyes. No, big, large.
Big.
Big. Yeah, she's a Great Dane.
Okay, because the same water box that we use for our heads, I'm thinking that it doesn't take much. You just have to take the measurements of a big rectangular water box and make a water box for your dog, put the toys in there, and you just have to surround it with water gallons, and I call them water curtains made with Ziploc bags, and once she realizes how good it feels in there, she'll stay in there so you can protect her with water. Just make a little water, try to see where the where the signal is coming from, and just make her a box, a wood box, and surround it with water, and put a nice little cot in there, and probably she'll love it there.
Right. Okay. Well, I appreciate you guys with all you do, Anna and GoGi, and what's the other lady?
Dr. Linda.
Getting on and helping us. Dr. Linda.
Yes.
And you're going to give us the website. You said we contact you, or you give
it
to us?
Okay. I'm going to give my usual email, and I'm going to ask you all to email me on Friday. Today is Tuesday. To email me on Friday and over the weekend, and I'll get the information to Dr. Linda. So my email, the Justice Action Meeting at proton.me.
Okay.
The Justice Action Meeting at proton.me. Yeah, you have it, Regina. And
have it. Yes.
And do it Friday and over the weekend. So give me a chance to deal with whatever technical stuff is going on. Okay? Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you, both of you, all of you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay. Guys, it's really late. So
Hi.
I'm thinking, hi. Hi, how are you?
I'm okay. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Council, and good evening, Dr. Linda. Good evening, everyone who's on the line. Thank you, Gaji, for always doing such a great work to all of you.
Thank you so much.
Tonight I cannot really get to hear properly the words of Council Anna. I don't know if it's on my end or if it's on her end, but tonight it was very difficult, to hear whatever she was saying. But one of the things that she did say that I pick up, she was talking about prayer, and I know that, I'm a pastor myself, and I've been saying that over and over, although, we know Council Anna is doing the best that she can for the whole community, but the main thing is to really pray. And I did send an email asking that if I could have a prayer on Sunday morning early, if you could guys look after it for me, it will be, wonderful, because I know definitely this program is not natural, it's not just technology, it's also a combination of witchcraft, so we definitely have to deal with it with prayer first. Now, the question I have for Dr. Linda, I do know, I don't know if you hear or if you heard the comments from hopeful candidate Robert Kennedy about, Havana syndrome. That he clarified that things has been going on in this country from, back then when his dad was the president of the United States. Then we also have record of former President Bill Clinton, who said that those, Havana syndrome has been going on in this country, and he wanted to apologize to America. Now, talking about, they are putting out there now, they don't believe that it's happening here, it's hallucinations. Is this any way as a psychiatrist that we can have a letter? I know Gaji went over that, but we can incorporate, what hopeful candidate Robert Kennedy said and Bill Clinton and your expertise, that we can have with us, or even if we go to the doctor or something. Is it possible? Please, I know it's work, but I'm just asking.
So I vaguely remember Bill Clinton apologizing about something like that. I haven't heard Mr. Kennedy, his thing, but we do know that Havana syndrome has been happening here. So all it would need to do to make it into the report as evidence would be to find a reliable reference. For example, a reliable reference, somebody talked about Jean Shaheen in Congress. So she had submitted some letters about, I think it was about Havana syndrome. But, so you just have to find something that's legitimate. It could be a newspaper article that in quotations said President Bill Clinton said this.
Correct. And with your expertise, because definitely if they keep saying, if the government keep putting out there that we are hallucinated, it's illusion, it's something, so we need to have something so that we can present either to the doctors or something, even onto the press or letters. Especially I myself would like to deal with legislation because I live in New York. And I would like to take this to the legislators, to the district councils in New York. And so, with your expertise, also that's going to help, because you don't want them to say exactly what the federal, or agree with the federal government by saying, whatever that we present to them or ask them to ban is not happening, or we just, hallucinated about this.
Yeah, it's pretty sad that, a clearly defined symptoms, and they're calling it delusions, but, I shouldn't say clearly defined, but
we are all kind of experiencing similar things. It's been well published that dignitaries have been having.
Yeah. I think it's a matter of time. It's unfortunate. We can do what we can do before the lawsuit prevails, but these lawsuits are key. And when they prevail, the door is going to swing wide open. So we're knocking now. We're trying to gain a little bit here and there. Let me think about that one, Pastor K, about creating some kind of letter saying, about who we are, but it's getting them to acknowledge that Havana syndrome victims are not just diplomats or everyday civilians is very difficult, but one of the articles I was reading tonight hints on that, and that might be the reference that's needed. So let me think about that as we move forward. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank
you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you for your question. Thank you for joining the J.A.M. All right.
Thanks.
Next caller, please. It's getting late, guys. We're getting ready to close it down. People got to go to work. Don't be blaming it on the J.A.M. if you go in there late. One eye open, one shut. Okay. I hear somebody. Let me take your question, and I think this is the last few, or I'm gonna check and see. Go ahead, please.
Hi, I'm Jill from Nebraska. I actually just put it in the chat because I wasn't sure there would be time. In my own situation, I needed to change my representative for my power of attorney for health care because the person who had it didn't believe me. So she would have had the power to put me in the hospital if she thought I needed it. So I changed to someone who listened. Yeah.
Good for you, Jill. Mm-hmm.
That's all I had to say. And Anna may disagree with me. I know she's the expert, but I just wanted to throw that out there in case somebody else is in the same situation.
I thank you for sharing that. Thank you for advocating for yourself and stepping out there. You know that somebody didn't agree with you, and you changed your representative. That's beautiful. Thank you. All right. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jill. Thank you for joining the J.A.M. Next question. Next caller, please.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, this is Dana from Detroit, and I just wanted to say to Gina and everyone else, when the police knocked on my door, I called 911 before I opened the door and asked her if she would stay on the phone with me because I wasn't comfortable at opening the door because I was here by myself. And she said, sure, no problem. So I opened the door and started talking to him. And when I felt comfortable with him, I hung up with her. But I had him recording him on my phone. And he knew it. And he was like, oh, I'm recording you too. I'm like, yeah, and I'm going to keep recording you. So I just wanted to let everybody know. Call 911, let them know what's going on, and then turn on your camera.
I love it. Go ahead, Dana. Thank you. These last two tips. Thank you very much. Very good. Thank you.
Okay,
because you know that's a 911 is definitely documented, so that's a beautiful thing to do. And then you both recording each other. That's a good sign of what the world has come to.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Dana. Mm-hmm. Next caller.
Rosie?
Yes?
Yeah, hi, it's Connie. I went for my doctor's appointment today, and it was really good. She looked at my arms, legs, and back, and she was horrified by all the microwave burns to my body. She could not believe that she was in such shock. And I told her about directed energy weapons and Havana syndrome, and she looked at me. She could not, I think she understood and believed me. She didn't want to talk about it then, but I think she really knows what's going on.
Beautiful.
Really
So you have it documented in your medical record, and then she gave you something for the burns. I'm helping.
Oh yeah, she's doing a lot of tests on me right now. She was horrified. Wow. I started crying, and my son was there, and he knew exactly when all this bullshit started, and it was in New Jersey, and the people that were living above me was DHS in the low-income building that I was living at. And he said, I know exactly when this started. They started making noise above her head, and and she was trying to sleep at night. They were doing that noise campaign, and I was 60 years old. That's when I started smoking, and that's when I started taking drugs, just to cope. Yeah, and my son, what he's gone through with me. I mean, I was crying because I could see it on his face. It really affected him. It's hard on our families. It's very hard. Really hard. Really hard. And he knows I would never smoke cigarettes before, and I never took any drugs before this happened.
I'm so sorry, Connie. And you know what? The silver lining is that your son was there with you, standing up to you. You guys stick together and stay together through it. We're trying to make sure that we bring this down, and it's just protecting yourself, preserving yourself, pray, and just hang in there. We're on our way out.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, GoGi, I wasn't going to go at first, really, because I was so tired, not having enough sleep and being dizzy and tired and barely able to get up, you know what I mean? I was, exhausted. But he kept on egging me on. No, Ma, thank God for him. He really cares, He sees what I'm going through. Being fucking raped every night. And I was even raped. They were raping me in my doctor's office. Would you believe it? Would you fucking believe that? Yeah. Disgusting.
Well, Connie, thank you for coming on the J.A.M. I'm glad you got your documentation. You hang in there, okay?
Yeah. We're gonna win this. We're gonna win this.
We are.
You hear me, Anna? We're gonna win this. We're going to win this. There's enough of us out there. There's enough of us out there. Enough.
Thank you for coming. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Be safe.
Thank you, GoGi, for the call. Thank you for your support. And thank you for all the monitors that are helping us, because they're being attacked even more than we are. So we really thank you for all your support. Thank you very much, GoGi. Thank you,
Connie. Appreciate that. Remain safe. All right.
Yeah.
Next caller, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, guys. We made it through the queue. We made it through the line. Let's open up and say good night. Announce.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night.
Good night, everybody. So much for being here.
Good night. God bless everybody.
God bless everybody.
I enjoy it.
Yes. You guys stay together.
Good night.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Anna. Good night.
Thank you, guys.
Love you all.
Good night. Love you. Love you guys.
Love you all.
Love you guys. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Thanks for joining the J.A.M. Keep your chin up.
All right. Amen.